everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on wherever you're joining from. So, if you're new here in this channel, we talk about divorce recovery, healing, especially reinvention, midlife reinvention after a major loss like divorce, job loss, or both at the same time, which happened in my case a little over 1.5 years ago. So from there, life was very difficult. It was a dark tunnel, but I kept going, and there was a lot of learning in between. You can see the videos, you can binge watch the 2024, which was the journaling video every single day. I'm on the other side now, and I help a lot of people who are going through that journey. Not only that, I also help people to save their marriages. So if you're here today, if you are going through the journey after divorce or after breakup from a long-term relationship, you are in the right place. Also, if you are in a marriage and divorce or separation is in your mind, you are at the right place, especially for today's video. There was a lot of research behind this video, so today's could be a little bit longer one, but trust me, it's a really, really good one. You will find it helpful if you are in those situations. So grab a cup of coffee and let's go for the ride. Okay. So there are 4 steps. I'm going to explain to you what 4 steps are before people, they meet and then they get divorced, and after that, the reinvention and all of that. So step 1, 2, 3, 4. Step 1 is what people would call it otherwise a honeymoon phase. You know what I mean, right? So if you have met your partner in the beginning, both of you were so excited, you couldn't wait to, go for a date together or watch a movie together. You'd even do the things that you don't like, but they do, right? So that's what I'm talking about. That is step 1. And depending on relationship length or something, how long you guys have been together, that could span between 6 months to 6 years, anywhere around there. You meet, you have fun, you get married, but after that also, you have good times, bad times, all of that, but you still have fun. You enjoy each other's company and stuff like that. But from there, life happens, right? There is, you guys know that we talk about this quadrant, which I won't talk much today, but I will reference some of it because they're interrelated. Rich quadrant, relationship, ideal life, career and finance and health. That's where the rich comes from. So the rich is not like literally money rich. It's more like emotional, like a, rich, healthy life where you're a happy person. So anyway, so as all of this happens in our life, there could be health challenges, there could be work challenges, and these days a lot of people are losing jobs. So the job stress causes stress in the relationship. It also causes stress in the ideal life, which a lot of times is the fun events for people, right? You might want to go travel the world, but you cannot because you have to think about the budget and whatnot. So all of that slowly takes people to step 2, and that is the danger zone. I would call step 2 a danger zone, and I'll tell you why I call it a danger zone. Step 2 is where majority of the people are living their life on this earth, and they are mostly, my marker fell. They're mostly on autopilot. This is the perfect autopilot. I can't spell today. Autopilot. So step 2 is totally a place where people are in autopilot. What happens is slowly as life gets busy, and if you are going on a date night, maybe you went once a week, and then slowly it goes down. You do once a month, and then other things takes priority, whether it's kids or kids' school or your work and work travel, whatever else that life throws at you, politics, religion, whatever else life throws at you, that slowly, the connection and the bond that you initially shared, that starts to disappear. And the reason I bring this 4 quadrant, and that is what this is about, the ideal life, the fun things, right? That is intangible, but that impacts everything else in life, these 4 areas, because this is your whole life. The reflection of this 4 is the reflection of your whole life. Since the fun things are either, time consuming, or you're like, oh, I'm going to do it later, a lot of this ends up creating this danger zone, and you are slowly resenting little by little, thinking that, oh, I want to do this, but my partner doesn't want to. But what would happen in the beginning of the relationship? You would talk to your partner about it, right? So it's all about the communication, and sometimes you may not have the time to communicate, but that is when you need to put some time on the calendar, both of your calendar, because I remember Tony Robbins says this a lot, that if it's not on your calendar, it's not happening. So this is for you too. If you're watching this video, if some of this resonates with you, because majority people are living here. If you're still in step 1, awesome, wonderful, and continue watering that. And that comes from, so Thich Nhat Hanh, he is known as the second Zen master, I guess, right after Dalai Lama in Buddhism. So he also talks about the similarities between Christianity and Buddhism. That's for another day. But what he says is, whatever you don't water, that dies. So if you plant a lettuce, and if you don't water the lettuce, it dies, right? So love is just like that. If you don't tend the love, if you don't nurture the love, it dies, literally. So if you're in step 1, which means your garden is growing, you have the flowers, you have the veggies, make sure you water it, make sure it's getting sunlight, all of them, and that is going to continue. And sometime you might fall in step 2, nothing to worry about that, that's the normal life. But as long as you catch it, and if you're in early stage of step 2, it's easier to get back to step 1. And a very high level, step 3 is where divorce happens. Separation, real divorce is step 3, and I'm going to talk more about it. And step 4 is awakening. Now you'll be like, oh, if I'm having trouble, why don't I get through step 3 and I get to step 4? I'll have the awakening. I'll be happy, peaceful, all of that. Guess what? It's not that easy. It's not this easy. If you think step 2 is miserable, step 3 is more miserable, 100 times. Okay? And what happens is, a lot of people, they stay in a loop of step 2. Can you guys see it? Okay, yeah, it's still on the camera. So let me write this down here. Step 2 and step 3. So what happens is, step 2 and step 3, it goes in cycle, and I'm going to share more about that, how. But before that, let's cover more between step 1 and step 2, and where a lot of this I'm getting from. So I have been, if you have been following me on LinkedIn or YouTube and all of that, you know that I share for decades. I have been studying all of this because it's just my fascination. So starting from TED Talk to religious books to self-help books, you name it, and all the people in the self-help industry, I studied them all, the human behavior, why we do what we do, why there is a pattern, all of this just fascinates me, right? So I'll give you an example. So John Gottman and Julie Gottman, they are big names in the relationship field, right? Like for human relationship, like with the partner relationship, basically, that's what I'm trying to say. But for me, I also, I focus on the holistic point of view, because a person can be, there's a TED Talk also, a person can be fully happy at home and really unhappy at work. And also the other way, if a person is super unhappy at work, they can be really happy at home, right? That it's the same person, it kind of interconnects everything. So step 2 is the danger zone. But it is important to not give up when you're step 2 right away to step 3, which is separation and divorce, because there is a crazy amount of number, the percentage of divorce rate is going to shock you. It shocked me, and surprisingly, these numbers are not as widely known, but you can Google it, you can see it. And also, this part is covered on my blog, my blog post from last night. And I was really, I don't know, I wanted to do it. I wrote almost like midnight until like midnight, and that post is out. So generally, I try to do the post and the Wisdom Wednesday video like in sync, so that if you are one of those people who like to read, you can read the blog post. And if you are more like, oh no, I'm rather gonna watch it, so you can watch it here. Usually I have a little bit different information in both places because of the way, the nature of the, the thing is, one is a video, one is the write-up. So first marriage, this is the most important part. If you get only one thing from this video, I want to get this one, and there is a second one I'm going to share later. So the first one, first marriage divorce rate, 30 to 40%. Okay? That probably doesn't surprise you because you have heard that in the United States, the divorce rate is 50%, right? So it's more or less depending on different years and stuff like that. There's this data. This is from CDC and, other data. You can look it up. I also refer this on my blog, the source. The second marriage divorce rate, this is going to absolutely shock you if you didn't know this number before. 60 to 67%. So it almost doubles from first marriage to second marriage, and I'm going to get to you why. And the third marriage, even more shocking, 73%. Sometimes they kind of round it up to 75%. So 73%. So why is that? You think that the person, when they go through the first divorce, they will be more wise, they will choose the right person, and this is not going to happen. So what happens is, it's not about choosing the right person, it's more about working on ourselves. So when a person goes from this first marriage to the second marriage, a lot of time, Gottman Institute would say that they don't spend enough time, and it's like a rebound. So sometimes the time can be short, sometimes people might be like, they have done all their work, whatnot, and nobody's perfect, but you get to a point you feel that you are healed, then you attract the right person who is also not in pain, then you get to a relationship where chances of divorce rates are less. I do want you guys to look at the positive side of it, right? So 60 to 70% divorce rate, at the same time 30% success rate, right? It's less, but there is a success rate there, so focus on that too. The part is, after you have dealt with it, there is so many research about it. Again, like, think of TED Talks and other type of videos and other material online, where they say we attract based on our pain, not based on our real emotions. So the research says, so let's say you are in a painful zone after the divorce. You know how sometimes for months and months you like to talk about your divorce, and that is it. You're here, and then slowly you feel like, oh, you are healing, and then you drop again. Some memory or something happens and you drop again, right? So then you would attract somebody who is on the same zone. The interesting part is, if you are healed, your frequency, and when I show this is like the frequency, when you are here, you're going to attract somebody who is also here, right? They know about inner peace and, the joy, whatever. You will attract that type of people. Now, nobody is perfect, but chances of you working out with this person, the relationship to be successful, to be on the 30% is higher in this case, second or third marriage, wherever you see yourself, if you're going through divorce, is a lot more than, otherwise, if it's a rebound or you didn't heal, you are going to attract a person and then you become part of the statistics. Nobody wants to become the part of the statistics, right? So why is also why is this divorce rate so high? Why can't people make it work? Interesting fact, the other number I told you, right? So this is the one thing that I want you guys to remember. And my blue marker, I have to buy a new blue marker. Another important number is 69%. That's another super important number. 69% of the conflicts between couples never really resolve. And that number is not from me, that is from the Fight Right book from John Gottman. If you haven't heard, John Gottman, Julie Gottman, they have the Gottman Institute. They are also on YouTube. They have a lot of material. They have been doing this type of research for 45 years. 45 years. And they can predict a divorce by seeing only 3 minutes of conversation from a couple that they haven't seen ever before with 94% accuracy. Imagine that. 3 minutes of conversation, they don't even have to know the people, 94% accuracy, the divorce rate. How do they do it? Because it always follows a pattern. Human beings, they always follow, like human being, we always follow a pattern. We are in some way, shape, or form like the robots. The AI is coming. We are also like that. We also follow a pattern. Our brain looks for pattern and then it goes for that. So 69% of the conflict, even the healthiest couple, it doesn't really resolve. So how does it work then? How are these people, they stay in step 1 for years, or even if they're in step 2, where they're like, oh, I'm not really happy, the grass looks greener on the other side, meaning maybe separation is a better idea, maybe divorce would be a better idea, and things like that. It is all about how do they fight, meaning after the fight, how they come back together, right? So do they do it with care? Do they hear the other person's point of view? Do they try to understand the other person's point of view, right? Because we all, like I say, that 8 billion people, 8 billion unique journeys, right? Because we all have a very different path that we walk. Even under the same roof with your siblings and yourself, you can see that how different you guys are. You have the same parents, same household, but you're different. That is what I'm talking about. So because of that, same thing can be interpreted so differently. So I'll share a perfect example here. Let me come back. So here's it's not fully half cup, but the concept of half cup, you have heard that, right? Somebody would say it's like the cup is half full. Somebody is going to say, oh, the cup is half empty. Somebody could say, oh, there is a cup, I can fill it up more, right? And somebody is like, oh, with this cup, I can do so much. So that's what I'm talking about. It's the same thing, but how people interpret is based on the life they have lived on this earth. So it's all about understanding each other, giving each other's grace and all of that. That is how, even if you take the opposite, only 31%, the maximum similarity can be between two people is only 31%. And with that, there are people who are having happy marriage and long time, whatnot, stuff like that, right? So I'm going to get to step 3 and step 4, a little more here. So, and why I also said the step 2 and step 3, they kind of, go back and forth sometime because of the percentage. So step 2, let's say if you want to, normally when the problem happens, most people want to get back to step 1, right? Because divorce and separation is not easy for your kids, for yourself, and also for everybody. That is not the right solution. So in step 2, if you're early enough in a step 2, think of step 2 as a long road, right? It can start in your, let's say, 5 years of your togetherness to, 70 years of your togetherness. And why I say this, because some people live in that situation and they die. It's like a conveyor belt, and then they die, right? They don't even, it's just a society, whatever, and I know it well because in India, divorce used to be, it is still a little bit of taboo here in the United States, and India, it is still a lot more. And I know, because even if you want to question me, I know from my LinkedIn posts, when I talk about divorce, I see a lot less people, interacting with the post versus the other post. But anyway, we're not going to get sidetracked there. Here. So step 2, people stay here and sometimes they live with that, and because of the society's pressure, because of their friend circle, and life is looking good from outside, so they don't, even though they are not living a joyful life, they just live with it, right? They have the schedule, weekly events, whatever, barbecue party on weekends, but they're in step two, but they're craving for something more. They don't know how to make it work. And sometimes, from step two to step one, it's easy solution. You go to marriage counselor and, talk to them about it. And then, you're back to step one. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you think that when people have depression, they go to regular therapists, marriage counseling is just like that. I love the fact that Michelle Obama, made it a mainstream thing. Michelle Obama, Barack Obama, they even went to, couples counseling. So it's not a bad thing, people. So, people don't talk about this stuff. But if it can save a marriage for you and for your kids, if it can create a better environment, it is totally worth it. Do it. And like I talked about, Gottman Institute, there are therapists who are trained by Gottman Institute, and they are actually super, super good. But anyway, why do I talk about all this? You'll be like, why you lost your marriage, you lost your job, and then what are you doing now? So I talk about this because I have been wanting to make a difference in people's life in a long time, and I did make a difference when I was, in management roles in a corporate. But after this happened, after what I went through for a year, intense pain, or I don't even know what the term I want to use, like the fire or thorny bed, walking on a fire on a thorny bed. That's the physical depiction I can tell you, because I can't explain how it felt emotionally, because I looked normal, but internally it felt like completely shattered, broken. I don't even know how to say it. But after that, there is some other time I'm going to share the spiritual awakening, or how how I felt aligned with God's calling, to help with some of those pain and suffering that people go through, just a little more way to give people back the joyful time, or the happy time, whatever you want to call it as, because they say time is valuable. Time is the most valuable asset we have. What I say is, it's not the time, it's the joyful time. Nobody wants more time when they're sad, they're mad, they're angry. They want the time when they're happy. And it doesn't have to be doing something grand, right? You could be walking on the beach, you could be just walking in a park, or walking in a trail, or it could be just sipping your morning coffee, but you feel so blissful, right? I connect with the sky and the tree and Mother Earth. I mean, So anyway, this is a very exciting topic for me, and I helped so many people, and I want to help many, many, many more people, and that's why I get so excited about sharing this. So my apologies for getting a little sidetracked. So 2 to 3. So if you're in the early stage, do marriage counseling, talk to each other. But slowly what happens somewhere here, the connection slowly fades. Initially it'll feel like, oh, you are talking, you want to talk, but there is no time. And then, when you go to restaurants, you would see, next time you go to a restaurant, I want you guys to look at all the couples out there, right? You'd see some are talking, they're laughing, they're enjoying, and you'll see there are some other couples, they are just eating their food and they're quiet. Or one person is talking and trying to connect, the other person is quiet. And that is actually two, not only two, it's like later stage of step two. So don't live in step two. If you are there, you need to start talking about it sooner than later, because what does not get addressed, it will come up in a big way. Your resentment never goes away. So there is two form of the way the fear gets out of human, because we don't know how to keep the fear in. That's how we are born. Either it comes out of anger or it goes as a resentment. The part a lot of people think is that resentment means, okay, throwing it under the rug, and that's it. But guess what? When you keep throwing it under the rug, when it becomes so much, the rug blows up. So the resentment doesn't completely go away. And then after that, the time comes when, as you don't connect, two people grow, because we all grow in whichever way, shape, or form, even if we don't want to, even if you're one of those people that in a couch potato, that's what the term is. You're sitting on a couch watching TV, but you're consuming stuff, good stuff or bad stuff. So you're growing in certain way. So two people, as they keep growing, if you're here, you can connect together. If you're here, you can. But imagine if you're so far out, two people this far out, it gets too far out that it just can't get back together. So then divorce and separation happens. And even though right now the way I'm saying, it sounds simple, it is not, because I went through, this is my absolute rock bottom. And where I come from in India, I come from a very small town. I lost my job several times here in this country. When I was here, I'm still here. Within a recession, 2008 recession, and other times. And as I was going through life, I had been like, and I had to do some contract jobs in the beginning because I was not citizen. So I was on visa. And somehow a lot of my friends, they would have this contract. They'll get a 6 months contract job and it would end up being 6 years. So easy, right? For me, I get a 6 months contract. Okay, it's not extending. I have to find another job. And another one, I go 1 year contract. Oh, after 3 months, they decided to scrap the project. I'll tell you which one. Circuit City. Circuit City, the company doesn't exist anymore. So I went through weird experiences like that. And back then I was like, I'm so unlucky that it happens only with me. Why does it? But back then I didn't know that God was preparing me for this storm. I really tell you, wherever you are, you're in the right place at the right time. Trust the time, trust the process. Believe in something that is bigger than you, something bigger than you. God, higher power, universe, whatever resonates with you, right? Know that all of it is happening for something bigger. Your calling, you will feel it. Steve Jobs once said that, if you didn't find the thing that you love, keep looking, all of that. And I have been thinking about that for like 15 years, 10, 11, 12 years, because I used to have those posters and whatnot, 2013, 2014. So yeah, 11 years. But this experience is totally different. And that's what is awakening. From 3, if you survive, you will get to awakening. Number 4, you will get to a zone where you are not looking for any external validation. And I'll just talk for myself that everything is between you and God. Right? For you, it could be everything is between you and that higher power, you and universe. I ought to drink some water. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I try to keep these videos real, so I'm not going to cut it. Because I'm so excited. That's why I started coughing. Because I'm talking too much. I almost want to talk like you, as if you guys are there, because I almost feel like you guys are there. I don't know. Maybe because I've been making videos for so long now. Because I used to have 2 other YouTube channels 6 years ago. So, awakening, right? You don't worry about other people's validation. You don't worry about what others are saying about the things you are doing, right? I am doing this thing, which is a very taboo subject, even in the United States. But guess what? If people are not helping those people, because I was there and I remember, looking up online, there was very few material out there when I was going through that journey. There's usual self-help stuff, but nobody goes really deep in this how you can live a life, especially in my case when I lost both. It's not only about just the divorce, it's also the job loss. When you go through that, when you're at absolute rock bottom, right? And sometimes, so yesterday there was a post from Sarah Blakely, who made that Spanx company, right? She's a billionaire now. And in that post, she talked about like how when she started her business, like her life was really shattered in a different way. And she was in 20s. So in midlife, I'm in my 40s, you know, life is never late to really go for our calling. So in my case, this is not something I chose. This happened, and as this happened, my what I could do is accept that this was God's design and plan for my life. And that is when slowly things started, it was not overnight. From None of these are overnight, because we were together for 14 years, and out of those 14, 12 years were married. So it was a long time. It was a very long time. uh, so step one to step two, and slow fade, or the danger zone, whatever you call it, step two, from that to step three. And that is so messy, especially the early times. Is like super, super, super messy. And that is why I say that if any way you can make things work, try step two to step one first. Because remember the first divorce to second divorce, you don't even have to remember the percentage. It's just the double. The divorce rate is double, because most people, they don't work on themselves. So I'm not saying that you're not going to, because our life is so busy, the schedule and everything. It's the last thing that people want to work on is themselves, and it is hard. There is no other way out. There is no magic pill. There is no magic pill. When you consistently show up day after day, month after month, 6 months, a year. And I feel like for me, it took almost a year, but that year was not, it would have taken me much longer if I didn't do this, the self help and all of this for over a decade, like very deeply, right? So, however, if you work with somebody who really knows this stuff, and I'm not telling it work with me, if you are, you can go to my website, midlifemindfulness.co, C-O, C-O, not com.co, midlifemindfulness.co. I'll be more than happy to help you. Also, I'll have the information about my website, also about our meetup group you can join. It is local events, and we're also going to do some virtual events. You can join that. And the YouTube, of course, there's a daily shorts. You can watch them. I have a little nugget of wisdom there, and also there are weekly episodes. So keeping it here. So if you can get to 4, this is absolutely a place where you live an authentic life. And what I mean by that is you don't perform. At work, what I mean by that, you don't perform. When you are at work, you're like, you're in a meeting and 10 people are there. Some people are saying something. You're like, oh, I got to say something so that my boss knows that I also know about the topic. That is performance, right? And now you could say that, oh, if I don't do that, they won't know. Yes, it's about workplace or whatever. But when you get to this stage 4, you don't really care, because what happens is people who are the right people, they will come hang out with you, and the wrong people, they're gonna drain you. They're gonna drain you because you will right away know who is an autopilot and who is not. It becomes so easy to identify people who are living in step 2 if you are living a life of step 4. And it's not that you always stay in step 4. Sometimes you will slip back because life throws things at us. But majority of your life, if you're in a step 4, if you have gone through this storm, this absolute miserableness, I don't know if miserableness is a word, I made it up, or rock bottom of your life, whatever you call it is, when you get there, there is like, it is peaceful. It is peaceful. I'm here in the kitchen over there on my counter. When I slice the carrots, I see the color of the orange color of the carrots. I hear the sound. In the past, I didn't. Same thing today. I was making veggie juice, which my daughter hates. It's a kale, green apple, whatnot, and the cucumber. So as I was making this, I was chopping the green apple. I saw the green on the apple, the white inside, and the sound of the chopping. I felt the cutting board. I felt the apple. The kale, when I was taking it and putting it on the blender, I felt it. That is what I'm talking about. Because I think in the last year, like, right now, a few more months, it'll be 2 years. So when I say that, really living life in the last many months, when things have been, especially from late last year, I have been doing good. Thank you God. Um, I think I lived more than I lived a decade. That's what I'm talking about. Because when we are in autopilot, we are in a conveyor belt getting ready to die, right? We don't think that way, but we really live like when we go for a trip. And if we don't go for a trip, resentment's built up, if that is our fun thing to do. But it's not always doing the big things. As a couple, what can you do? You may not be able to now, like, a lot of people losing jobs and whatnot. You may not be able to go do big things, but there's always little things you can do. What did you guys do when you met initially? You probably went to a park for a walk. Go do that. You probably met in a coffee shop. Go do that. And if you are one of those people who likes to drink, just go to a bar and drink on Friday evening. There's happy hour, whatnot. Do little things. They say the best is to do once a week date night. Now, if you have kids, especially if you have multiple kids, it could be hard. You can always do once a month. Schedule it, schedule it, schedule it. If you don't schedule it, you're not going to do it. And your step 2, the slow fade, is going to happen. You get to step 3. And step 3, many people don't survive. What I mean by don't survive is, again, I'm going to point it out, step 2 and step 3. Not surviving doesn't necessarily mean that they die. What I mean by that is from step 2, they're thinking of getting divorced, and then they get divorced. Great. Now they don't heal. They find another person based on the pain, because our mind wants to predict. Our brain is made in such a way that we would go for familiar pain. Trust me, it's not me, it's not you, it's all the human being. There are research done on this field. You can look it up. People go for familiar pain because the unknown is fearful. There could be so much happening, so many good things, right? If you think of it, all this iPhone is an unknown, right? This board, somebody, when they first made it, was unknown. But good things, innovative things can happen in the unknown, but people, very few percentage of the world focuses on unknown, So people try to go for what is familiar, so they get married again. There's a little bit of step 1, and then they this time the bar of patience is even lower, so then they get divorced faster. And then again, they repeat the cycle. Step 2, step 3, the cycle continues. And at one point, they're like, okay, I'm done with it. And they stay miserable in step 3. And, okay, no more marriage or anything, but step 3, and that's where they stay. So 4 is not easy, but definitely there are, I am a living proof. And trust me, and that's what I'm talking about. It's not about bragging or anything. I came across some people, and it was not right away. I had to say no to some people to get to the right people, because what happens is, and this is really important, you have heard this thing that who you surround yourself with is very important, because you become like that, right? But what happens is there's a phase that your surroundings are these people, and then you have to say no, and there is this maybe a little bit of empty space, or whatever call it as, where you are feeling the void, but you have to feel that to get there. And here are the people, right? They are authentic people just like you. They went through all these challenges, and no matter what, it doesn't have to be exactly divorce and all of that, but they have been through some hardship, and then they worked on themselves, right? They worked on themselves, and they are in this zone. They understand each other. So I've come across several people in my field. They do other things, some life coaching, some other things. But it is so refreshing, my friends. I'll tell you, it is so refreshing. And then what happens is you feel like these people that drain you because they are on autopilot. You can see it, and you are not living here. So it's almost like you are on a different planet, and you're trying to a person who is trying to, on another planet. You're trying to talk to each other. You're not even talking the same language. So it's hard. It is hard. But if you are committed, what you have to do is, even if you are in this company, you have to, either you can call it as consistency, discipline, whatever that is. You show up, you work on yourself. And I tell you, within a month you will see a shift. Within 6 months you almost don't recognize yourself because there's so much changes going on in you, good way. And in 1 year you'll be a completely different person. Trust me. I have so many videos around that. So don't stay stuck on step 2. That's the ultimate message for today. So I'm going to quickly summarize for you guys. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Step 1 is honeymoon phase, anywhere between 6 months to 6 years. Step 2, and I know it's not funny, but I'm just covering the topic for everybody, whoever recognizes. Step 2, miserable. Don't live in step 2. Try to get to step 1 as much as you can. And if it is too late, it might be better to get to step 3, because your kids are not, if you have kids, your kids are not going to have any good time if you are miserable, because you cannot pour from an empty cup. Your cup needs to be full first. It's like that airplane thing, right? They say you put oxygen mask on yourself first before you put it on someone. And step 3 is more miserable, and it is important to say this is miserable and this is more miserable. So if you decide to go on step 3, it is hard, but for you that might be the solution. But after step 3, if you get to step 3, choose to work on yourself. There will be months and weeks and I don't know how long you will be talking to, I don't know, your friends and family. You'll blame the other person, you'll say whatever. But at some point, your focus needs to be fully you. From blaming and criticizing, nothing comes out. That person is gone. You let them go with peace. It won't be easy, but you keep doing it, and then it'll happen. The focus should be you. You want to reinvent your life so that you get to this zone. And when you get there, my friends, I'm telling you, you will know. There is no words to explain, not because English is my second language, but even in my own language, I couldn't. These days, actually, English has become my first language because I almost forgot a lot of my own language because I speak it only like 5-10 minutes a week when I speak to my mom. Anyway, the point is, you will feel it. And people will say things. Some people will believe you. Some people won't believe you. And it is okay, because part of it is you don't care. Now, when I started this journey, and I even started this business, this company, and I had so many visions, right? Initially, I just had the YouTube, and initially I didn't even know where I was going. When I saw that this is really helping people, the other people are seeing the end of the tunnel, light at the end of the tunnel by seeing my own journey. Then I was like, oh, I can really help other people more, and I want to, and that felt so much like calling. And there's so many other stories around there which will end up in books and some future videos. Many people negated me because they couldn't see the vision, because they can't see what's in my head, right? So I have the YouTube and the meetup group now and books and stuff, because I want to help people. I mean, not only in this country, it's a movement. It is not just a coaching. It's helping people through this different platform. I want to reach more people, because this is something it doesn't get talked about. The countries where they have divorce rate lower, it doesn't mean that they have the happiest life. What happens is they stay in step 2. And I'm not saying that the solution from step 2 is to step 3. I'm actually saying the first step from step 2, the solution is always try to get back to step 1, because there was a reason you guys fell in love together. There was a reason you stayed all these years together. See if you can rekindle something again, because it is easier. I have a saying, actually it's not my saying, but I take it to heart, is that prevention is better than cure. Prevention is better than cure, because the world out there is unknown. If you hit step 3, there is no guarantee that you'll get to step 4, because something bigger than yourself, God, universe, whatever you resonate with, it doesn't happen right away. There is so much that goes on in life. Every people who has been there, you can ask them. It's a journey. It doesn't happen overnight. It's a journey. And all your friends and family, whoever you talk to about things happening in step 2, step 3, time will come when you're in step 3. The hardest part is the time comes when you are all alone. You are all alone, literally. What I mean by that is because everybody has their, even your best friend, they have their own life, their job, their family, their kids, their appointments and whatnot. And at some point, people will encourage you to go talk to a therapist, right? And the thing is, the difference between, mine is not therapy, right? I am helping you to reinvent your life, reimagine your whole life, right? Not only the relationship. And that's why I say this is the whole life thing. You reinvent your life, your career. I changed my career completely because this was my calling. I had some good jobs at some places, and some places I liked it, and some places I felt like I was pushed down. But the part is that, when it's your calling, and you'll feel it, and that comes from that awakening, but it's not easy. So anyway, where I was going with that is therapy. Therapy, in my opinion, everybody has opinion. 8 billion people have 8 billion opinion. I went to therapy too. Excuse me. They help you to heal somewhat. They help you to process some of the emotions, but they don't help you to reinvent your future. They help you to process what happened. But if you just process what happened, in the future you could still make the same mistake, and your love life, your married life could be good, but you could be in a terrible job, and that is going to affect your career. You could have a health issue that could affect your relationship, right? And then if you are not in sync with your love language, that's another topic that I talked about in the prior weeks. It's also on my blog post if you're interested. So then in the future you'll get into a loop of step 2 and step 3. The step 2, the miserable, step 3, more miserable, and you get into that loop. So your best place again is step 1 or step 4, but I would rather not target step 4 because this is pretty happy zone. If you want to get to step 4, there is no way to get to without going through this miserable and extremely miserable places, right? So anyways, I hope this video helps you a little bit. And I know this was a long one, but this was a very important points, a lot of very important points that I want to share with you guys, which I learned for a while, long time. And I couldn't save my relationship, but I hope I can save a lot of other people's relationship. I help several people. Of course, I can't say, these are very private, so I can't say, but it gives me immense joy knowing that I'm able to save some marriages. So this information, if you found helpful, please do share it with others, and also share the channel and the website with others, because these are the things, it is only close friends that talk about it, but it is something that usually gets talked about only closed doors, but people are suffering and they are in step 2. Life is supposed to be joyful, right? So tell them to, head back to step 1. And if it is so bad they can't work it out and they're miserable, that means the people around them are also miserable. Again, going back to, you can't pour from an empty cup. So then it might be the step 3 is their solution, and then step 4 is where you really see, really feel, really hear the sound and all the other joyful things. It's because then your cup is so full, and if it's not full, sometimes it will get empty out as you pour it out. You will be aware much faster than when you are here. You will know that, okay, my cup is not fully full. I need to go do some of those things that fills my bucket. I actually use the bucket. If you come to my channel, we have this bucket filler day concept. Like Alice is my daughter, 9-year-old daughter. She and I go do some bucket filler days sometimes, and I sometimes do it myself. My own bucket filler day, I just go in a coffee shop, drink coffee, read books, and even doing some research about my work. And that is a bucket filler thing for me, because now for me the work and the fun, a lot of time it's kind of so integrated, and that's what your calling feels like. It doesn't feel like work. Last night until 12 o'clock I was like writing the blog about this topic. It did not feel like work. I was not getting paid, but it is the calling that you feel, that you never know who it is going to help. Because I have these YouTube comments, and you guys, thank you so much, that you tell me that it helps you. It just fills my heart. It just fills my heart. So anyway, thank you for sticking with me, and I'm going to share a lot more videos later. And this topic is very heavy and deep, so sometime I do plan on doing a whole season of this, like maybe 10 episodes or something later this year. Let me know, then it will be more bite-sized, and I'll go more deep with real life experience stories that might help you to understand even more. But again, please do share it, because for some reason when I was going through this journey, it surprised me how Dr. John Gottman and Julie Gottman, their good data, and Gary Chapman's love language, those were not known to many people. Partly, of course, because people don't talk about it, right? People don't talk about marriage problems. Like, why can't they talk about marriage problem? If they have a broken arm, they go to a doctor to fix it. So in their emotions, when they're having issues, two people together coming from two different environments could have issues, right? So if you want to get back to step 1, we're in honeymoon phase, why not, right? Life is all about living joyfully. Okay, so with that, I'm going to finish the video. Make sure to subscribe and like and comment and all of those good stuff. And thank you again for coming and watching my videos. Take care. I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.